Hey there, everyone. David Rush Unleashed with David Rush here. And we're doing this one on the fly. We've been talking about doing it messy in a lot of different realms. And sometimes you're not prepared, sometimes you're not ready, but we can still step in, we can still step out. We can take the thing that's in our mind or in our heart and bring it forward. And that's what's on my mind and my heart today is a lot of times we have to wait for the perfect opportunity to do something or start something or step out. And I just ran into this man on the street, and he has this mission, and he has this calling, and he has a giant van with Jesus on it. He's got a trailer. He's made t-shirts, and he's years ago was called to, and probably over 20 plus years now, was called to take the church on the road. And I stopped by today, and I had a conversation with him, and he sells t-shirts to fund his ministry, which then he gets to do what God has called him to do in his life. And there was a moment in the conversation where we were just talking, and I was learning a little bit more about what he was doing. And he said something that has also been on my heart, and I think is part of my journey. Is he said, I talk to so many people, and so many people have these ideas, and they're also waiting. Like, I gotta be sure, whether it's the message from God that they're receiving, or just in general to take action on the idea that they've been thinking about. And he said, just go and do it. And that's part of this journey of mine with Unleashed. I'm not always going to do it perfectly. Sometimes I do too much. Sometimes I take on too much. But I think what I've learned through that process is that that's okay. And it doesn't need to be something that necessarily is holding us back. What I've also learned, because I gave a presentation on Thursday about my journey and this idea of being unleashed. I gave it to a room full of 40 business people, business owners, business leaders. And I said there's this almost inflection point of when you are unleashed. Like for me, it was, oh, now I know how to connect and communicate with people. Now I know how to go out and do the things that might be on my heart to do. And then what happens is all kinds of opportunities may flood in, and all kinds of ideas, because now you see how capable you are to go and deliver and fulfill on things. And so you say yes to all these things because it's, oh, this is so cool. I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to do that. And then at some point you realize, man, I got too much on my plate. I've taken on too much. And that may be too many new initiatives and ideas, or maybe too much responsibility on the one or two initiatives that you do have going on in your life. And so now the freedom that you initially feel when you're unleashed gets constrained. And we don't even realize it sometimes. And then we have to take a step back and review and say, what's happening here? I thought I was unconstrained now. I thought I was unleashed, but I feel tired. I feel I've got too much. I feel overwhelmed. And so that's where I found myself operating a lot of times, is in a state of overwhelm. Not that it necessarily stopped me, but that it would have me feeling like I don't know what to do here. I don't know what the priority is. And so one of the solutions that I found for that is setting time and taking a step back. And that may be a pause. It may be, I was speaking with a high level executive this week, and I said, you may run on autopilot and produce all these results. But if you really want the one result we're talking about, you might want to take some time for yourself on a weekly basis. I call it a weekly review. It's like sacred time on a Friday or a Saturday where you take a pause, an hour, 2 hours, and you step back and you say, how was the week? How did it go? What went well? What didn't go well? And then assess, are there some adjustments to make for the upcoming week? It could be that simple, but I once delivered a training to a room full of executives, and I asked a simple question. I said, How many of you actually have time on your calendar to take a step back and think strategically about the business you're building? Out of 12 very successful executives, one raised their hand. I then said, how many here would see value in that kind of element to your calendar in just what you're doing? All of them raised their hands. And then I pointed to the guy who raised his hand. I said, even though you have it on your calendar, how often do you actually do it? And he said, not very often. I usually skip over it because there's some other fire going on. And then I said to him, I said, when you have done it, how valuable has it been? And that's where the room kind of had a shift. He said, it's been incredible because usually some of my best ideas come, some of the alterations that shift the trajectory of things. I have time to really think about how those things would be implemented, and it makes a huge difference. And so sometimes in this process of unleashing ourselves or building things or going out, it's do we also take some time to pause and reflect, to make adjustments? Because otherwise, we're going to keep spinning the same wheel, and we know what that wheel produces. But if we want to have different outcomes, we got to shift some of the inputs that are causing the outcomes. I think I started this conversation with the idea of we take on a lot. I work with a lot of leaders. This was part of my message at the meeting on Thursday. And as leaders, we drive, we create, we do, we figure everything out, but then we're the center of all the stuff, and all the stuff relies on us. And at some point, there's too much relying on us. So we need to learn how to delegate, how to put it into systems, put it into processes. And with a lot of the leaders that I work with, myself included, because I'm one of those leaders, it can be challenging. It can be challenging to take this stuff off our plate that really isn't our best use of time, isn't our best skill set, but we've just had to do it to make things work, and that's okay. But there comes a point in time where you got to say, all right, who else needs to be on the team? What other system or agent or process needs to be a part of this so that I can continue driving things forward based on the mission that's in my heart? And so this was a little ad hoc David Rush Unleashed episode 3. And if you watch the first two, you'll see that this is going to be kind of a progression. I had a great conversation today at the gym, and I met this young man who has decided to launch his own fitness and training and lifestyle business. And as we were talking, it was just cool to see at the age of 21, someone who had a passion, a love for baseball that took a little turn. And he said, "Well, what else? What else can I do? What's my purpose now?" And loves the gym, loves fitness, loves kind of helping people on their path. And you could see there was like this new light, this new energy, this new unleashing that was coming out. And based on our conversation earlier, he in the last 2 weeks has taken steps to launch this. And even though it's the great unknown, even though um, it's challenging. It's like trying to figure out this whole new thing. I just encouraged him. I said, man, at the age of 21 and you're starting your entrepreneurial journey and you're doing the things, you're creating the videos, you're learning how to do outreach, you're learning how to connect with people, you're learning how to do all of these pieces. I said, game on, man. I wish I was doing that at 21 and taking the steps that you're taking. And that ties in back to what Sean said. Sean was the guy I spoke about earlier who took his show on the road, and he said, "Yeah, just go and do." And from a faith perspective, God's gonna help steer the ship, and He's gonna bless the things He wants keeping going, and other things may be a little bit more challenging. But just go, take the steps. You're gonna learn. You're gonna figure it out. You're gonna be resourceful, and then once you are, then learn how to build all the things around so that you can continue to, I say it's like live a life of freedom, because that's what's available when we start to almost be very aligned internally, like unleash the truth inside and rip apart all the stuff that was holding us back. Now we're free to go. And then we got to be a little bit discerning because we can go in all different directions. And so just being diligent and wise in terms of what we say yes to, what we say no to, and all of that. So hopefully this was a an enlightening episode. If you do happen to watch this or stumble upon it, drop a comment below, like it if you liked it, and more to come, more to come. This is part of the beginning of a journey, and I can see this evolving, and I can see a lot of things coming out of this with other people coming into the conversation, and just a lot of topics as I share some of my life journey from the past, my current experiences, and how this is all going to evolve. So looking forward to sharing some more and hearing back from you, and have a great day.